Welcome to The Big Reset, Marketing and Business Edition, a podcast for entrepreneurs, forward thinkers, and marketing junkies embracing new world business strategies and zigging when others zag. Host Scott Harkey is president and CEO of OH Partners, one of the largest and most decorated creative agencies in the Southwest, which has helped open the door for him to sit down with an array of high-octane guests and personalities, all with credible stories to tell and valuable insights to share. As the advertising and marketing industry continue heading towards new world shifts, align yourself with true leaders in the space and make the Big Reset a weekly habit as you stay one step ahead of the masses in your journey to self-educate, learn, and grow your personal and professional brand.
Welcome to Playing with Fire. I am super excited today because I got my boy in the house, Jonathan Kaiser, best-selling author, and so much more than that, like the ultimate connector, been kind of like my guru at times when I've been down. I'm going to talk about that in a little bit, but built his own brokerage from scratch, like a true entrepreneur, and just a good guy, like here to help other people. And so I want to dive into some fun stuff. What's up, doggy? Welcome.
Thanks, man. Good to be here.
So we'll get right into it. I want to tell the first story because I think it's really cool and a little vulnerable. As Jonathan, we talked about this in the pre-podcast meeting, and the story goes like this. I came into John's office, and this was it like a year and a half ago? You think? 2 years ago?
Yeah, probably a couple years ago.
2 years ago, and I was in the dumps. Like I was in a tough situation. Like I was just feeling low energy. I was feeling sorry for myself. I was actually going through a divorce, and Jonathan,
you just lost your mojo, man.
Dude, I did. I came into Jonathan's office and it was like, I think sometimes the universe puts things in the perfect spot for you with somebody. And we had a random meeting in your office in Scottsdale. I hadn't caught up with you for a while, and it was like a life-changing meeting. It was cool how I think sometimes how God works, how the universe works, and it goes like this. I get there. And again, I'm just toast. I'm just I don't have a girlfriend. I don't even know about dating. My business. I don't even know what's up. And Jonathan looks at me in the eyes and such a serious the energy was intense. And he's like, "You're a freaking lion," and went into this whole story about lions and about how they're kings of the jungle. And it sounds super cheesy the way I'm telling the story, but at that moment, it was literally what exactly I needed to hear as the pep talk to be know who you are, know what power you have, and know why you're here on this planet to help people. And I'm telling you that as one line to another. It was like a halftime speech from Bill Parcells, where I was so jacked after that meeting. Just thank you, man. That moment changed my life. And so fast forward, another friend of mine came into my office about a year later from that moment, and he was down about his job, and he was like, "I don't know if I should be in this job." And I have this lion in my office. I actually got this lion painted in Africa because I thought it was beautiful. It's this lion kind of looking vulnerable. And my buddy was down, and I all of a sudden this lion speech came back to me. I was like, "This Jonathan, this lion speech." So thank you, man. But that's who you are.
So you pay it forward.
It just happened, right? I'm just a conductor. It just happened. But that's who you are. How did you find this Jonathan Kaiser, this guru piece to you? Did it just happen? Did you get called in? How does it happen?
No, well, a little backstory probably helps, right?
Always, yeah.
Yeah. So I was actually raised a Christian missionary kid. I grew up part of my life in Papua New Guinea, and I grew out in the middle of nowhere. And my parents taught me to love, serve, give, help. And then we came back to the States. I was in 7th grade, and I had this dramatic realization.
So the States, where were you from originally?
From the States. Okay. I went to Papua New Guinea, and then we came back.
Came back to the States, yeah.
So, and I had this realization that we were poor. And I didn't like being poor. So I made a decision at an early age that I was going to be rich. So,
and how old are you?
Say I was 11.
Okay.
I remember I was looking in the bathroom mirror, and I said, "You are going to be rich someday," right? Wow. I just pointed at myself.
You're 11 years old.
11 years old.
I'm
going to be rich.
Look in the mirror. Yeah. Okay.
And I got into commercial real estate because I wanted to be rich, and people said I could be rich. And as I got in, I realized, wow, this is a cutthroat industry. Like, everybody's scratching, clawing, fighting their way to the top. So I'm like, okay, if this is what it takes to be successful, that's what I'm going to do. But I was miserable, man. I was misaligned with my core values, and I wasn't happy with who I was becoming. And then 16, 17 years ago, I go to this kind of nondescript industry conference, and this guy gets up, and I remember it like it was yesterday, and he starts talking about this different way of doing business. He starts talking about a way of succeeding by helping others succeed. And I was like, come on, this guy is so full of crap, right? And so I go up to him afterwards, and I'm like, hey, so tell me more about what you were talking about. Is that really possible? Can you really succeed by helping others? And he told me a story, and he talked about, I liken it to a lemon tree. He said, Jonathan, what you're doing right now is you're hunting, and I'm describing farming. I said, what do you mean? He said, well, think about like you plant a tree. So like in my house here in Arizona, I have a tree. I have a lemon tree, and it is a monstrosity of a tree. I mean, I get more lemons than I know what to do with. I don't know what to, I can't give them away fast enough, but it didn't always used to be that way, right? This thing was tiny. It was getting eaten by bugs. It was like half dead half the time. And for years, I just watered it and I cared for it. But then that turned into this huge tree. And he said, think of that tree like relationships, where you could pour yourself into them. You invest in them, and then they yield fruit over time. And it made rational sense to me. And I'm like, well, that kind of makes sense. But what's so weird about it is it sounded like my parents, right? Because my parents had told me to love and serve, but because they were poor, I had associated love and service with being poor. So fast forward, I decided to reinvent myself. And I said...
And this is 17 years ago.
This is, 17 years ago. Okay. I said, I'm just going to throw the old business plan away. I'm going to get involved in the community, and I'm going to help everybody that I can. And I would ask one question: how can I help you? And people would be like, first they'd be like, what do you mean, how can you help me? What kind of weird thing is this? And I'd be like, no, I'm serious. Like, what do you need? And sometimes they would ask for personal things, like their kids needed internships. I would go to work like trying to help that kid get a job. Or, they would say, hey, I'm having these struggles in business. And so I'd help them in whatever way that I could. A lot of it was
Is that where I remember I met you, there was like something on the back of your business card. Do you still have that? Remember when you first started, what was that? Yeah. What did it say? It was like something around helping people.
Yeah, how can I serve?
How can I serve?
Yeah.
And you were like serious.
Oh, dead serious. And so it was weird at first for people, but once they saw that I was legitimate and sincere, there was this whole opening that was created in a relationship. And I found that through service, you break through all of these sort of artificial walls that people erect around themselves. Right? So you go to these networking events, right? And you sit in the networking events, or you stand, and everybody's got like the, hi, my name is Jonathan Kaiser, and I do commercial real estate, and everybody's got their pitch.
Yeah.
But the reality is not really listening to other people. They're not focused on what they can do for other people. So I said, what if I just flip this around? What if instead of me trying to get as much as I could, what if I tried to give as much as I could?
And that's when you started Kaiser?
There was a period of time. So that lasted. I did that for about 5 years, 6 years. And one of the things when I had that speaker that I was listening to, going back to that story, one of the things that he told me is I asked him, this sounds a little bit too good to be true. I said, and if it really is true, how come I've never heard of it? If this is really so awesome where you're helping people, serving them, loving them, giving to them, why aren't more people doing it? He said, because it takes too long. And so I said, well, what does too long mean? He said, 4.5 to 5 years. So I thought, wow, that's crazy. Like, most people aren't willing to go through a reinvention that takes 4.5 to 5 years, go broke in the process. Well, that's exactly what I did. And so
why do you think
everybody around me thought I was crazy? It took me 4.5 years, pretty much on the nose. I started getting big referrals just by helping. And then one day I had this epiphany in a hot tub in Sedona from looking at the mountains, and I'm just thinking like, what's possible? And it came to me, it's like, what if you could change business? What if you could show other people that truly this is applicable beyond just you, right? What if you could scale this? What if you could teach other people how to do this, right? And then I started realizing, wow, here I have built this selfless service model in arguably one of the most, if not the most, ruthless cutthroat industries in the world. So if I'm proving that you can be selfless and win in commercial real estate, where else can you do it? So
how do you
launched Kaiser, and today we're, Inc. 5000 company just like you, and My book hit #1 on the Wall Street Journal list, and USA Today just named us the commercial real estate industry disruptor, and we have an extraordinary group of people, and we're doing work all around the world.
How do you know it works?
Because I live it. Because I'm doing it. You
see it.
I do it every day, and I teach people how to do it, right? It's this idea of, what if in every interaction you focused on how you could help the person in front of you, right? What if that was the mindset you brought? When you showed up at my office and you were a friend already, I didn't know what state you were showing up in. I had no idea what form of service was needed for me at the moment. But what I knew is that anybody walking through those doors, if I'm with them, my whole intention is service. My whole intention in this is service. I want other people to understand that this is possible, right? And lean in. Like, this is, to me, this is the greatest opportunity available to business leaders today.
Do you think we're on a spiritual awakening? I mean, you and I are, not young guys anymore, but younger guys.
I'm young.
We're younger guys in an entrepreneurial.
Don't let the old man in.
Do you think there's a spiritual awakening happening in business? I mean, you live it. You go to these conferences. The people you connect with. And having a connected network is so important, but the way you've done it and connecting with the vibrationally, extraordinary people that you're connected with, do you think there's we're on the front end of this spiritual awakening happening?
I do. Transitions are messy. Beginnings are messy and transitions are messy. So there's a lot of people throwing up their hands and going, wow, this, the world is ending. The world's not ending. We're in a state of transition, and there's good news on the other side of this. And as hard as that is for a lot of people to see, I can see it. There is an awakening coming, and it's not fun to go through that transition, but there is a new level of awareness that's coming to the world. I'm not saying it's, everything goes in cycles, right? But there's a new awareness coming to our world that is going to be truly transformative, I believe.
I agree with you. There's just been so many funny stories that I've experienced with you and that I appreciate about you. Anything from brainwave things we put on our head to crazy Sedona, experiences you and I both talked about, or the power of mentorship, or even, I think there's so many things in terms that we think about mentors as it's this specific thing, and no, you learn from everybody. I've learned so much from you.
Likewise.
And just being able to take those bits and pieces of that knowledge and that curiosity that I think we both share about life, and how do we expand our minds? How do we go to the next level in terms of performance and kind of almost scare ourselves? Do you think people are built like that? Do they make a decision like that? Or can they be coached and trained into that?
I mean, you can't train desire, right? So I think desire is the fundamental element where you have to want it.
If you want it, that's been my experience. That, to me, that the ability to really emotionally desire something, then performance happens. And I think a lot of times we think performance happens first, and I'm a firm believer, maybe because I'm in marketing, I know that emotionally something clicks where you want it so bad, or you are so tired of another result that you've had. I've had that experience. I'm screw this. I am done doing this. I'm making a change for this.
Yeah, sometimes it's the impetus you need.
Yeah.
Right? Sometimes the impetus is something being so bad. A lot of people, I look at my situation today, I would not have had the interest in launching my own firm and all that's involved with that if I hadn't have had an experience that caused me to feel like that's what I needed to do, right? So that's what I mean by transitions are messy, is just because it's not fun in the moment does not mean it's not good. Right? And so there is, change is painful. Change is necessary. And my whole message to the world is you talk about mentorship. I am merely an amalgamation of amazing mentors, right? I am standing on the shoulders of giants, and that is 100% true for me. Having extraordinary coaches,
You're the one that got me really strongly considering a coach, which I now have a
life
coach. It's insane.
There's nothing like it. The idea that we're supposed to be out foraging alone is crazy. It's not rational.
We're so used to coaches in every aspect of our life, whether it's baseball coaches, basketball coaches, our kids have coaches, we have teachers, we have coaches in business, but we don't have these life coaches navigate and pay them. You taught me that. I was like, oh shit. And then I started talking to other people that had coaches. I was like, oh, this is This is like a thing. This is like a real thing.
Yeah. There's an accountability with it. There's the ability for someone to speak authentically into your world.
Yeah.
And to help you see what you can't see.
Yeah.
And for me, like, I've always thought of myself as kind of like, my foot's always moving. I'm trying for this, podcast to hold it still. But like, I'm a super high energy guy, right? Sure. And so I'm kind of like a racehorse, right? So when you have somebody that's a performer, that is constantly driving on something, your biggest impediment is between the ears.
Yeah.
So you keep this on right.
Yeah.
You keep this on straight. You manage the stress that is possible when you're not thinking right. When this thing is working right, I am ultimately powerful. When this thing gets off, guess what? I'm still ultimately powerful. I'm just doing the wrong things. Right? I'm using it to destroy. I'm using it to hurt. I'm using it to do things that are not productive for my future or the people around me. So part of what makes having a coach so powerful is, I call it keeping between the rails. Right? Remind me of where I'm supposed to be going. Make sure, I could be running 100 miles an hour the wrong direction. That's not helping anybody.
No.
I might be going fast, but it's not helping anybody.
Whew. What do you think, like, you and I are back at 25. If we could go back, or any other 25-year-olds out there, they're starting their career and they're thinking about this like shift that you and I have had in our careers. For me, it happened in sort of a destructive way.
Yeah.
For others, I've seen it happen in all sorts of different ways. Mostly, it's this emotional declaration for something different and the desire to be better than where we are today. What do we go back? What do you go back and tell 25-year-old you, or a current 25-year-old now?
Well, I think, there's so much wisdom out there. So one of the things that helped me was you talked about it earlier, being a student.
Yeah.
Right? One of my IMs is everyone and everything is my teacher. So I literally look to everyone. Most people, once they get to a certain level of success, they think, I kind of got it all figured out.
Yeah.
Right? Oh, I already know that. Even if you do, the mind that says, where is the one piece that I missed? My coach is a huge fan of various disciplines on the mind, yes. Right? From Byron Katie to all down the road. He'll go to a meeting that he has been in 1,000 times, and I'm not exaggerating with 1,000, right? Like, and he'll sit in the front row like this, listening to the same thing he's heard 1,000 times before, looking for that one nugget he missed before.
This is Steve.
That's Steve.
Yeah.
So that's the mind. The mind is not listening to something as if you already know. So that's number one. Number two would be never be afraid to, and I'm just coming up with them on the go. This isn't like a scripted thing.
I'm like listening. I'm like, I'm 25 years old. Like, all right, go. We keep going.
So the other one would be, do not ever imagine yourself as anything other than you really want to be. The most destructive thing we could do is imagine ourselves too small. One of the greatest things my coach helped me see is that there's a lot more possible than my mind was tricking me into believing.
Correct.
Right? So now I'm limitless and fearless. And I don't mean that in an arrogant way.
Do you visualize it? Like, I visualize it. Like, it's like my coach talks about Tachizen, right? Which is like an fully actualized person. Not that I'm there, but the pursuit of, like, I imagine it's like, I put this on another like video before, like, I'm like this ninja like dude, like, and I'm like, my Tachizen, like, and I'm like thinking about it. I'm like karate kicking shit, and like, and every action is the pursuit to that greatness. Is it how do you visualize it? Do you have like vision boards? I know your I am statements. You're like you talking about I am statements, how powerful those are, and
they're huge.
The positivity of.
So I just create who I everybody can do it. There's a million roads to Rome, okay. Right? So it's not like there's one right way. Yeah. The way that I do it, and you do Think and Grow Rich. It talks about
Napoleon Hill. That's a great,
right?
I love that book.
So this is wisdom from the ages. This is not like, hey, Jonathan Kaiser came up with this idea. But what I have found, my very first IM was I am pure service, and my wife at the time laughed. She laughed. She goes, "You are the farthest thing from pure service." I said, "I know, but I want to be." right? So it's creating in the present moment a future thing.
Yeah.
And I do that with my kids. You know, I love the fact that I'm 20 minutes away from the kids' school because every morning we have a routine. We do our breath work. We do our family IMs. Each kid personally creates their future. We go around and we do what we're grateful for. We go around and we send blessings to people, particularly the people you don't like that much. That's who you send the most blessings to.
Yeah.
And then we end with kind of like remember who you are. Imagine what that's like for a kid getting out of a car, walking into the world, right? So why would we have our kids doing that and us not do it? So there's a declaration, a decision of who you are. Now, those can be constantly upgraded, right? But like mine are really simple. I could go through all of them, but I won't spare them. But one of mine, like I begin with, I am JK. That's what everybody calls me. And who I am is far more real than anything outside of me. That means I decide who I am. Nobody else. Somebody says, you suck, you're a loser, you're this, you're that. Great, I respect your opinion. And I can probably find some truth in that. But let me tell you who I really am. I'm the best there ever was and forever will be. That's not cocky. I'm not saying that like I'm better than Scott. I'm saying the place that I come from is there is nobody that is going to be a better Jonathan Kaiser than Jonathan Kaiser. There's nobody. Everybody's trying to be somebody else. I just want to be the best me. And the best me is just me being me.
Yeah.
Because nobody can do it as good as me.
And that's the problem, I think, with comparisons and even gurus out there that use modeling. It doesn't work because we're all individual DNA creatures, the modeling.
So I remember I used to hear, as a kid, you can do anything you want, John. I used to think it was bull crap.
Yeah, for
you
sure.
know?
Yeah.
No, it's not. But it all starts here. You have to believe that it's possible. And then it's about the discipline to do the things that are necessary. So like my coach likes to say, he goes, there's a lot of people that come into my office and say, man, I'd love to have abs like you. He goes, no, you wouldn't. Because if abs like me, you'd have to eat like I eat. You have to get up and do 1,000 crunches every morning. Yeah. You don't really want them. Yeah. You say you want them, but you don't really want them. So you have to be like, just like athletes. You want to be a good athlete? Guess what? It's not all glamorous. You didn't just pop out of the womb Michael Jordan. No. You know, you have to be the most disciplined person towards the goal, believing that you could get there and not giving up.
And I've had that happen, and I've been okay with it more recently. Like I'll put a goal out there, and then I'll get through the process and be like, I'm not enjoying this. Nah.
Next.
Yeah, like there's other goals that I'm going to enjoy, and it's going to be worth the emotional, pain and process. And I think like what I love about my career now is I love what I do. So the process is fun.
Totally.
And finding those avenues for the process being fun. I mean, I've had so many other stupid things like, I'm gonna race mountain bikes. And I was like, nah, that's a lot I love mountain biking, but to be a mountain bike racer is gonna take X amount of time, X amount of training. Like when I start measuring that out, I'm like, nah.
I would think about it like this. And this is an acknowledgement of you. The difference between an acknowledgement and a compliment is what you say to make somebody feel good. I'm not saying this to make you feel good. I'm saying this as a true acknowledgement of something I've seen in your character. Make sense? The difference? So an acknowledgement of you is one of the secrets that I believe is key to an extraordinary life is positivity.
Yeah.
Now that doesn't mean fake positivity, but that means positivity, right? Like it's looking in the negative for the positive.
For sure.
Right? So when the worst possible thing that can happen, you're saying, what are 3 positive things that can come out of this? Yeah. I remember I've had multiple conversations with you where I'm like, okay, so how you feeling about that? You're like, you know what? It's great. and you were sincere about it, right? Yeah. So the key too is having this mindset that no matter what, I believe that everything that happens outside of you is neutral.
I agree.
And you, as the owner of your own being, and me as the owner of my own being, get to decide what that means to us. What most people do is they create pain. Yeah. They go, that means I suck, that means it's hard, that means life is unfair, that means this, that means I'm unlovable. What if that's just a neutral thing? And you go, that is the coolest thing that ever happened to me. I don't know why yet. It doesn't feel fun.
It's just waves going over your head.
Waves, man.
Yeah. I think the Eckhart Tolle stuff, when I dove into that stuff, I was like this makes sense.
And imagine, one of the things, Byron Katie is one of my favorite.
Byron Katie, I need to check out Byron Katie.
Oh my gosh. So her whole thing is loving what is.
Ooh. Kind of like a Brene Brown
kind of,
a little bit.
Kind of, but she's like this transcendent soul. She's somebody who used to be she woke up one day in a halfway house a different person. And she realized that the only thing that was causing her pain in her life was her thoughts and her believing her thoughts. So she went on this journey to question her own thoughts. And when she questioned them, she realized that as much as was true that she believed was true, was actually just as true on the other side of it. In other words, it was just as much not true as it was true. So she was torturing herself with thoughts
It's a cycle.
that were just cyclical. So she now is this person where if you listen to her work, and she has a very simple process, it's asking yourself 4 questions, is in that moment, are you in acceptance or are you in resistance to what is happening outside of you? Because if you're in acceptance, it doesn't disempower you like I used to think. It's not like, oh, well, I have to accept it, so that means my life's gonna suck. No, it just means you're not beating yourself up.
Yeah.
You're not creating pain. You're not creating misery. And from a clear head, you can make decisions. What if, no matter what happened in your life, you took it as a gift? Right? I did this 30-day everything is a gift challenge in my company, and it changed everything. It was like
People in your company.
everyone.
I remember on a trip one time, one of your guys, we were on like a Fiesta Bowl trip, and he recorded his own voice on his phone doing I am statements.
It's on my phone right there.
It blew
Every
my
day.
it blew my mind. Like, Darius, like, what? This is insane, bro. But like, this shit works.
It does. It works because the mind is open to persuasion.
Yes, it is.
And it's the most persuadable by your own voice.
100%.
So when I'm doing my IMs in the morning, I'm visualizing what those are, imagining myself in that future state, feeling the emotion of what it feels like to be in that future state.
That's insane.
Which is just a discipline.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, do you like to work out? Well, no, but I do it anyways. Okay, well, I actually love to work out, so do you.
Yeah.
But there's the discipline of investing in yourself. This is what I would tell any 25-year-old. Investing in yourself is
100%.
the best thing you could ever do.
100%.
Because
Warren Buffett, I think.
The more I upgrade this, the more I'm able to do.
Everything.
The more I can see, the more I understand, the more I can serve.
Correct.
And my whole message in my book, man, it's like joy, true joy. This is the squishy stuff. So I'm gonna go squishy on you for a second.
I love it. We'll go there all day.
Where I get my joy, when my life was all about myself, I was miserable.
Huh.
It was a constant journey to make myself happier. And it's just chasing the carrot. You never can quite get it.
You cannot. I've tried that.
But when you turn around and you spend your time loving on others and you spend your time trying to help others, what I've created is this extraordinary organization, my firm,
Yeah.
it does commercial real estate, right? We're commercial real estate brokers. It does not seem like a normal commercial real
Not the
estate
traditional
conversation.
broker.
No.
Yeah.
But everything that we do, we're a referral-only company. How in the world does that work? Well, because everywhere we go,
Yeah.
our people are trying to love on others.
Correct.
We're trying to serve them. We're trying to meet needs that they have.
Yeah.
Why do we withhold the good we could do for others? Why?
Yeah.
We're withholding from ourselves. I have this really weird...
What great marketing dollars, by the way. As a marketing person, I love that. It's like, go help people. And have a long-term
long
approach.
game.
Play the long game in your brand. Don't be, I call it, 1 a.m. the bar's closing, kamikaze, try to get all these leads, like that's not how you ask a girl out. That's not how you build credibility. That's not how you build a brand. That's not how you become an amazing person.
Totally.
That's marketing, like, in a weird way.
Not even in a weird way. That's what I talk about, right? I took everything that I've learned and said, how do others replicate it? And I put it in this book, right? And now, with it hitting #1, now I'm being asked to speak all across the country, and we're launching an institute to train, empower, and ultimately certify the next generation of selfless leader. But it all comes back to this idea of, I believe it's selfish, don't miss this, I believe it's selfish to be selfless. I believe that the more you serve, the more you get.
Yeah.
I believe you cannot outgive the universe.
I agree with that.
And so it's like, what an amazing gig.
That's freaking cool.
I love others.
Yeah.
I experience the joy of doing it. They experience the joy of receiving it. They, if and when they decide, hey, that guy was so nice to me, maybe I'll help him back.
Yeah.
It becomes this cycle of everybody helping each other win versus everybody trying to compete against each other.
Yeah.
Not a zero-sum game. And so that's what I'm trying to teach the world. It's like, dude, if I can do it in commercial real estate brokerage, anybody can do it.
Yeah, that makes sense. Well, I can't wait to dive into the book. I know you and I have talked about it before, and I know how long it took you to write this, and you put your heart and soul into it. What I think we're going to do is we're going to give a few of these away. We're going to send a link on Jonathan. To close this up, I know we went way deep. I knew we would. We're not going to be able to help ourselves. We're into this kind of crazy stuff. But give us a little. There's not one business person out there that's not talking about the market. What's the future of office lease? I know I think about it. I mean, you helped us get 50,000 square feet or something. Like, all right, let's work from home. What do you see the market doing? How you see the economy? Like, you're an economist for us today. Play out as business people what we should be thinking about.
Sure. Well, first of all, this is a topic that I could spend a lot of time on.
I'm sure.
But at a high level, there's the real estate tends to lag the general. Well, for those who don't know, so my firm, we represent the tenants, right? The occupiers of space. It's a heavily conflicted industry, so we're trying to bring transparency and true advocacy to that industry. So I'm coming from the perspective of a tenant, of an occupier, of someone who uses space for their business. If you're looking at what most companies are doing, they're going to a hybrid model, which is not new information. Everybody kind of knows that.
Yes.
But as a result, what they're doing is giving back between 30 and 40% on average of the office space that they're occupying, right? So if you think about that happening across the country, that's a significant give back of space.
Correct.
And if you look at all the indicators, right? Their sublease space is up 60%. It's 200 million square feet nationally.
Wow.
So if you go back to the beginning of the pandemic, we had a hot roaring market, then March of last year, right? Usually, you'll see a real estate downturn because it lags the general economy 6 to 9 months after you see a traditional downturn.
Yes.
But this is a little bit different circumstances because you had PPP that extended the people's ability to pay their rent.
Correct.
Now you got, trillions of dollars being flooded into the system. So it's just pushing back this downturn that's inevitable. There's a lot of mitigating forces, even without people reimagining their office space and taking 60% of what they used to.
It's still going to downturn.
There's still a downturn, and all the indicators are there. We monitor all the different pieces from the, looking at the amount of mortgage-backed securities that are on watch lists that are going. So there is a significant amount of pain. We're projecting a between 20 and 30% decrease, normalized, right, averaged across the country over the next 24 months. So it's going to be an amazing time
to be a tenant. Commercial real estate, time to buy, time to negotiate.
Not yet, but it's coming.
Time to buy, call it 2 years from now.
I would say somewhere within the next 6 to 24 months. Be right, because there's opportunities in pockets. It's not like an aggregate.
And leasing now. Subleasing potentially now.
Do shorter term stuff now.
Yeah.
Get extensions. Don't spend a lot of money right now. Wait until the opportunity is, and then strike.
Is residential going to be part of that game, or who knows?
You know what? I'm not a residential guy. I will tell you, residential is nutty right now.
It's insane.
But if you just look at the fundamentals, like I'm a data guy.
Yeah.
Right? So there's a lot of conjecture out there. And I just look at the data. The fundamentals under commercial real estate have significant red flags.
Correct.
And so I don't think that there's people ask me all the time, are people going to still use offices? Yeah, I think it's going to be, there's already this emotional pain of people saying, we got to get back together. Like, the spiking of mental illness because of people being isolated. So, but it's just going to be more flexible. It's not going to be 8 to 5 Monday to Friday. It's going to be people coming in and out. And so designing spaces differently is also a thing we're going to see a lot of.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Well, dude, I love having you on. We could talk forever.
Bro, we could literally, I feel like we just got started.
I know,
man.
We're like, let's go.
Let's give some books away.
Let's do it. So hit us up. We'll give some books away. Thank you, Jonathan Kaiser. Follow Jonathan and Kaiser Company on all his social channels. Look for him out public speaking. And if you have any questions, send us a link, send us a DM, and happy to hear from you. Thanks.
You just experienced the Big Reset, Marketing and Business Edition. New episodes of our highly engaging series drop every Wednesday, while past sit-downs are available to stream or download in our archive. For more, follow your host at Scott Harkey on Instagram. And for more on OH, check out ohpartners.com.